Now on 767 News, mechanical problems cause major delay in garbage collection. Police investigate the possible attack of a young vagrant, and electricity consumers the focus of an IRC and DOMLEC tariff review discussion. Welcome to the weekend edition of 767 News, Dominica's #1 news source. I'm Alicia George. When 767 News returns, we'll bring you the latest news and developments.
Let's see how easy it is to play Powerball and win. Simply select 4 numbers from 1 to 30 and a power pick number from 1 to 5, and that's it. You have just selected your winning numbers for Powerball. Or just get a quick pick and let the machine select your lucky numbers for you. Remember, Powerball is drawn every Wednesday and Saturday from 9 p.m. Powerball from the Dominica National Lottery.
Some call it money transfer. We call it helping him hit his first ever 6. MoneyGram, bringing you closer.
Welcome back. In tonight's newscast, mechanical problems with garbage trucks is a major factor for the delay in garbage collection in various communities across the island. This is according to Acting General Manager of the Dominica Solid Waste Management Corporation, DSWMC, Florian Mitchell.
As you know, in every situation you have hiccups in any system. It doesn't matter how much fine-tune your systems are. Once you're dealing with equipment and human and personnel, you're always having glitches or hiccups in your system. What we have done in the areas where we are having glitches, we have started to contract private haulers to assist with the collection of refuse in areas or communities where we are having issues. And even at times, even the private people that you contract, sometimes at the time that you require their services, you're not able to get them on the time that you require the services. So even that in itself poses an issue in terms of the waste being collected on the day and time stipulated by solid waste.
Mitchell said the public prematurely putting their garbage out for collection is a major problem for the corporation. He said in certain communities, the residents put out their garbage in the morning when they are aware that the garbage collection is in the afternoon.
And that is not a direct activity of solid waste. We know that when the vehicle does not come on the day and time specified, and that is our issue, then we seek to redress it by, as I said earlier, getting private equipment or private contractors to get the garbage removed on the day and time specified. And what we want the general public to be aware is that ensure that you put the garbage out on the day and time. And one of the issues that we notice is that, again, waste management, we resort as Dominicans to put our garbage out on the curb in a bag. What we're asking people to do, you could purchase a bin. When you put your garbage out in a bag on the curb, you're leaving it out to the elements, you're leaving it out to stray dogs and other animals that would burst that bag, that would contribute to a lot of littering and unsightliness on the curb.
He said it is important that the public support the corporation in acquiring bins for garbage, as if there is an issue which prevents a regular garbage collection, one can simply remove their bin from the curb.
So, yes, solid waste is at fault at many times and many instances when we cannot remove the garbage on the time and it is specified. But we are also appealing now to the general public to know that it is your waste. And if it is your refuse, what we want to say is that people use proper bins to ensure that their refuse is in a container, not a bucket, because we see refuse being put out in buckets. But we want to see people purchase bins. There are bins all over the place at solid waste, different retail or wholesale outlets along the islands who have bins. We want to see people move into that direction to ensure that your refuse is taken care of, your refuse is in a bin. And if, for example, your refuse is in a proper storage container, and you place out your storage container on the day and time for collection, and then the vehicle doesn't pass, what happens? You could pull back that container in.
He said we all have to play our part in contributing to a clean and healthy environment. And Police Public Relations Officer ASP Claude Wicks said they are investigating the circumstances surrounding the hospitalization of 25-year-old Anderson Carbon of Whitaker, who resides on the streets of Roseau.
First of all, let us just clear the air. There is no vagrant who was allegedly murdered or killed by anyone, as far as we know. Okay? Anderson Carbon is 25 years. He hails from the community of Whitaker, but has been moving around the capital city, Roseau, and indeed a vagrant, and has had a history, of mental illness. And on Wednesday, the 11th of March 2015, somewhere about 10:45 a.m., a call was made whereby he fell on the streets in a particular spot in Roseau. The ambulance and services responded, and of course the police as well. And he apparently seemed to have been in distress. It was observed that his intestine was protruding from the anus.
Carbon was transported to the Princess Margaret Hospital, where he was examined and admitted to the Alford ward. ASP Wicks said Carbon was interviewed by the police and medical officials.
He did not seem to suggest in any way that anybody had done anything to him. There are so many conflicting stories going all over the place, that he was killed, that he was sodomized, and so forth. He's been cared for by the medical authorities at the hospital. But nevertheless, given his particular situation, knowing sometimes, in the mind unstable, we're not taking it for granted. So we are investigating, we are asking questions, we are moving around, and giving the little assistance, the little information that he can give us. We are working on that. The investigations continue.
Reports are that Carbon was diagnosed with rectal prolapse, which is a condition in which the rectum, the last part of the large intestine before it exits the anus, loses its normal attachments inside the body, allowing it to telescope out through the anus, thereby turning it inside out.
In that particular case with Mr. Carbon, we call him push-up. People around him as push-ups, because people take pride. Some people take pride in giving him a lick or something if he does push-ups. But whatever the situation is, in reporting now, as far as we know, and our investigations have revealed, he is a patient at the Princess Margaret Hospital. He's been cared for.
The investigation continues. In other stories, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Helen Royer, has highlighted the need to curb the upsurge of obesity in Dominica. It was during the 12th Executive Board meeting of Caribbean Public Health Agency, CARPHA, when Royer said that Dominica, like other Caribbean countries, is experiencing an upsurge in non-communicable diseases, NCDs, particularly obesity among children and young adults.
We have evidence that our population is not consuming adequate fruits and vegetables, and our new growth chart records for 0 to 5-year-old also indicate an increasing trend of childhood obesity. This is indicative for a need for drastic steps to curb this problem.
The Permanent Secretary called for a multi-stakeholder approach to include the private sector, government, and civil society to manage NCDs on the island. She went on to commend CARPHA for placing special focus on promoting health weight in the Caribbean in its 2014-2019 Plan of Action, noting that it is an important step in addressing the prevalence of NCDs. Meanwhile, Dr. Rudolph Cummings, Program Manager in the Health Sector Development at the CARICOM Secretariat, says while CARPHA has achieved successes, the institution still faces its share of challenges.
This is a maturing institution, And certainly the discussions which we have had in terms of the challenge to the region, in particular by chikungunya, and the work they have done in allaying regional affairs represents part of that maturity. But certainly they played a major role in setting a platform for the region for addressing the Ebola problems, and this which they conveyed to the heads of government when they met in Port of Spain in November last year.
CAFA continues to play a major role in the objectives outlined in the Regional Development Plan adopted in 2014 by heads of government. And the Dominica Association of Industry and Commerce, DAIC, in an effort to bridge the gap of membership, on Thursday hosted a town hall meeting at the Fontong Hotel. President of the DAIC, Jeffrey Baptist, said this meeting was important as the organization is always seeking to embrace opportunities and challenges.
The board of the DAIC can add no value without input and direction from the membership. And certainly as a board, we recognize that it cannot be business as usual. A Chamber of Commerce that has very limited participation from the membership, a Chamber of Commerce that is pretty much fragmented in its views, that are not always guided in terms of the key development issues in our society, and not always responsive to the burning issues that confront the private sector, in my mind, really isn't adding value to the membership.
Baptist said the current economic challenges require a new way of thinking and a proactive approach to application. He said a one-voice approach is an important aspect in guiding private sector-led growth in 2015 and 2016.
The DIC board cannot operate without a mandate and direction from the wider membership. We need to be clear on the issues that are confronting our members. We need to be clear on the issues that require advocacy at the level of the chamber, and certainly we can only get that direction if we have a face-to-face and a structured dialogue with our membership. So this is what this is really intended to deliver this afternoon. It's really about rolling up our sleeves and having a very direct conversation about, one, whether you believe as members that the DIC is actually meeting its mandate as the umbrella private sector body, and two, to remind the DIC of your expectations as members. What is it the top 3 to 5 items you'd want the DIC to consider as it operates and engage other stakeholders within our market?
The DIC president said it is vital that the membership discuss ways in which they can engage the public and private sector in a structured and confident manner, as a clear understanding on the subject is necessary for moving forward. He noted following up on commitments from stakeholders, the public sector or government, is also important for the DIC, as they have to ensure these stakeholders deliver on their promises.
I do not know that the onus is on the public sector, but I think it resides with us to do a lot more to present ourselves as a more structured and if you will, maybe a more serious organization as we set out to create a more investment-friendly climate and to help those of us who invest in this market to extract a lot more value from our investments. And so we want to influence the investment and economic climate. But as I said, we can only force that dialogue if we position ourselves in a manner that will force other stakeholders to take us a lot more seriously than they have taken us now.
Baptist said the town hall meeting on Thursday was the first of many to come. Electricity tariff review discussion to benefit consumers, and CAFA reviews successes and future implementation to combat disease in the Caribbean region. More details on these and other stories when 767 News returns.
Hello, my name is Mikkel Henderson. I write and perform songs to earn a living. I depend on organizations like ECHO to collect my royalties when my music is played in public, like on the radio, at jams, restaurants, hotels, bars, and even here on Digicel Play. Because ECHO has relations with more than 200 copyright agencies around the world, I'm guaranteed to collect royalties when my music is played in places like France, Germany, Italy, the US, the United Kingdom, and almost anywhere in the world. ECHO and the work it does is essential to make sure that writers and composers like myself can continue to make the music we all love and enjoy. Just remember, let the music pay.
It's March Madness at Quartz. Get all for nothing and nothing to pay for 30 days. Plus, get mad deals all over the store. And it gets even better with one crazy deal every single day. So Quartz is the place to be all month long for new deals every day in the biggest March Madness promotion. Don't miss it. It's gonna be mad.
Thanks for staying with us. As part of its responsibility to ensure that consumers benefit from the proper sale of electricity on the island, the International Regulatory Commission, IRC, on Friday engaged staff of the Dominica Electricity Services Limited, DOMLEC, to discuss and agree upon an updated tariff structure. The idea was to set and review the rates charged by DOMLEC in keeping with the public's interests, considerations, and government policies as embodied in the legislation Electricity Supply Act. The period in question is from the year 2015 to 2018. J. Paul Morgan, regulatory consultant for the IRC, said the consultation was intended to spark discussion among the stakeholders.
This is intended to, as Lance pointed out, to set out the thinking at this point in time, and that thinking will obviously be modified by the comments and by the discussions that we have here today until the consultation closes. So it really is important that we participate as much as we can so that the commissioners who are sat there can have the benefit of your thoughts and the benefits of your ideas to inform them in the decision-making process.
The three documents under review were the Weighted Average Cost of Capital, WAAC, the Integrated Resource Plan, IRP, and DOMLEC's Capital Investment Plan. DOMLEC listed a number of proposals in the development of its Integrated Resource Plan, IRP, in a bid to determine the company's investment programs for the set period. The company proposed and submitted total capital requirements at $93.8 million from the year 2015 to 2019. The IRC deferred on the proposal, citing one of its major concerns that the government of Dominica has an energy policy under consideration.
We believe that in order to properly conclude this particular proceeding, that we need to have this degree of certainty in terms of the negotiations as to the time and configuration of the geothermal plant development. And secondly, in terms of commitments, which we understand the government intends to make, and perhaps again I'm putting it as carefully as I can, intends to make regarding the funding of construction of transmission infrastructure. We're not sure, and we need some certainty on those issues.
According to Morgan, the issue of geothermal is cause for constraint on the part of the IRC as they face concerns in concluding conclusively the addition of generating plants moving forward. The regulatory consultant said if the situation changes during the period in question, then the IRC may be minded to open another discussion in the interest of DOMLEC.
If the situation continues where we still have those uncertainties at the time of taking the decision, then the Commission will not be able to conclude on the investment plan as proposed during this tariff review period. I remember the tariff review covers 15, 16, 17, 2015, 16, 17. But if it happens that during the period we have that certainty, then the Commission will be committed to review those impacts and, if necessary, commit to reopening the tariff in order to put DOMLEC in a position to make the investments that will be necessary.
The IRC therefore concluded that investments by the electricity company should be pushed back for the next 3 years.
We think that as we look at the tariff period, this 3 years, we are not seeing the opportunities for growth in the economy to reflect anything more than a flat demand over the period. We think for the next 3 years or so that growth will be flat at best. And for this reason, the Commission feels
that it would be prudent at this point in time to adopt the low demand the low demand scenario.
The Commission's overriding concern is to avoid the possibility of inefficient investing activity, lumpy investments, and the possibility of rate shock. No decision has been made as yet. In other news, Dr. C. James, Hospital's Executive Director of the Caribbean Public Health Agency, CARPHA, says the region is preparing to send some health officials to West African countries affected by the Ebola virus in a bid to strengthen the Caribbean's resilience to the disease. He made the statement during a press conference to update the public on health issues affecting the region at the Fort Young Hotel on Thursday.
The region is preparing also to send some people to the affected West African countries so that they would build up experience for our own benefit in facing such problems in the future. And there has been the establishment of what's called a regional coordination mechanism for Ebola, with CARPHA as the chair, and that includes the OECS Secretariat, CARICOM, SEDIMA, the Disaster Emergency Management Agency, Pan American Health. It includes Cuba and the Impacts, that's the Crime and Security Agency. And the board meeting received a report on how all those agencies are working together to strengthen the regional response.
CARPHA has also made provisions to implement a common health registration system among Caribbean countries, as the region presently lacks a Caribbean regulatory system for pharmaceuticals.
Many countries of the region don't have a well-established system of registering new medicines for people. And a decision was made and a report provided on a common registration system for the whole of the Caribbean that we're running a pilot for within CARPHA, and that will improve the access of patients who need medicines to certain kinds of medicines that perhaps they don't have now, access to safe and guaranteed quality medicines.
Following its 12th Executive Board meeting, CARPHA reported that through its HIV/AIDS agenda in the region, many countries, including Dominica, are one step closer to eliminating the HIV/AIDS virus from mother to child. Hospital said CARPHA has begun to think about certifying these eliminations and is working on a plan to eliminate the overall transmission of HIV and AIDS. Focus has also been placed on adopting healthier food environments within the Caribbean region.
A major focus was put on healthier food environments given the epidemic of non-communicable diseases and obesity. Someone who is overweight or obese has higher lifetime health costs, approximately 50% more, and in fact a shorter life because of the problems with diabetes and heart disease, cancer and so on that become commoner. And so a report was received on that, and a lot of discussion on things like mandatory labeling and reducing fat and salt and sugar in food.
CARPHA also considered setting up a cancer registry hub within the region as cancer cases continue to rise. Climate change and environmental health, as well as violence and injury prevention in the Caribbean, was also discussed during the meeting. CARPHA is the new regional public health agency for the Caribbean, rationalizing public health arrangements in the region by combining the functions of the 5 Caribbean Regional Health Institution, RHIs, into one single agency. And in other news, the digitalizing of the registry's title section is a major task which takes an extended period of time to be completed. This is according to Registrar Ozzy Walsh, who spoke about the project on the heels of the completion of the digitalization of the Civil Registry Department, a project that took 4 years to complete. He said the process for obtaining a copy of a title is tedious.
At the moment, if you would like a copy of a certificate of title, you have to have a search form filled in. Someone has to go to the vault in the title section, look for it, go for those big books, put it on the photocopying machine, print it, put the paper in it, of course, and this thing takes time.
Paul said with the digital system, once the reference number of a title is received, the system will perform a search, then print the title. The customer then pays the cashier to complete the process.
We want to achieve a system here where everybody's title is on the system, So when a request is made for a certificate of title or a copy of a certificate of title, it can be by a click of the button. You can have a copy of your certificate of title as well. So the point I'm making there is what we achieved in the civil registry section with respect to digitalization of our vital statistic records with respect to vital events, births, deaths, marriage, and adoption. We want to achieve that with respect to the title section. It's a much bigger project, the titles department. We're looking at almost 60,000 titles and supporting documents, hundreds of thousands of supporting documents, encumbrances, memorandums of transfer, mortgages, all of those appendages to title requests.
The registrar said currently a 6-member team is involved in scanning all documents in the title section. He said the success achieved with the digitalization of the civil registry department will be replicated in the title section. The project, which began in July of 2014, is expected to continue for the next 3 years. $300,000 was budgeted by government for the project. And 767 News has received reports of a fire at the Fonkole landfill today, Friday. Unconfirmed reports indicate that the incident may be a result of arson. 767 News will bring you more details on this story in a subsequent newscast.
Welcome to Quartz Digital World, where we have the widest range of digital products from the world's best brands, televisions, tablets, laptop computers, mobile phones, and much more. Connect, explore, engage.
Count your Thursdays and win up to $24,000 in cash. For every $9 spent on Big 4, you get a raffle ticket to enter our weekly draws to win $4,000 cash every Thursday for 6 weeks. The more you spend, the more tickets you get, the better your chances of winning every Thursday. That's $24,000 in cash. So play Big 4, count your Thursdays and win up to $24,000 in cash. Only from the Dominica National Lottery. Promotion starts from February 24th to April 2nd.
Now for a recap of tonight's headlines. Mechanical problems cause major delay in garbage collection. Police investigate the possible attack of a young vagrant. And electricity consumers are the focus of an IRC and DOMLEC tariff review discussion. And that's all the time we have for now. Until next week, drop us an email at media@767news.dm. Like us on Facebook and be sure to like our 767 News page as well. From all of us on the 767 News production team, I'm Alicia George, wishing you a wonderful evening, a wonderful weekend, and thanks for watching.
Boom, Miss and it's my time to get on bad when I jam in at everybody. Come celebrate with me, but if you don't know me yet, don't worry, man, we go take a jam in a party. Yeah, put one hand in the air. 767 News.